Wouldn't it be great if your computers just magically configured themselves? All the applications that you need were automatically installed and everything was configured just the way you like it, without the need for IT. Well, there's a feature in Microsoft 365 that can do just that, and it's called Autopilot. And that is what today's video is all about. But first, just a quick intro. My name is Jonathan Edwards from Integral IT. We help businesses all over the world with the Microsoft 365. Now, back long ago, when I first started in IT, we used to take a long time to configure a computer. We'd have all these floppy disks and DVDs that we needed to install the software. And even today, there is a lot of IT resource spent on configuring laptops and computers and getting all the software installed and getting all the settings configured. And if you add to that the way we work today, we've got people all around the country, all around the world, all working from different locations. The logistics of getting them a configured device is getting harder and harder. But there's a feature in Microsoft 365 that I don't see a lot of businesses using, and it's called Autopilot. Now, Autopilot can automatically configure your laptops and computers with all the software that you need, and it can configure them with all the relevant settings. And it even works with manufacturers like Dell. You can order a brand new laptop or a brand new computer from Dell and have it shipped directly from Dell to wherever it needs to go. That end user can open the box, connect that laptop to the internet, enter their Microsoft 365 username and password, and voila! All the applications that they need will be installed and all the configuration settings will take place. It sounds a bit like magic, this. Now, you might be thinking, this sounds expensive, but it isn't. All you need is an Entra ID Plan 1 license, or if you take my advice, you would need a Microsoft 365 Business Premium license, and Autopilot is included. Now, without further ado, I think we should jump onto that computer behind me and have a full demo. Now, the first part of the demo is all about preparation. We're going to create some Entra ID groups for the computers to live in, plus we're going to take a quick look at company branding so we can really personalize the experience. Let's go. Okay, I'm logged into the Microsoft 365 Admin Center as a global admin, so you'll need the relevant permissions to log into your own Microsoft 365 tenancy. The first thing I'm going to do is create a group, and this group is going to be a group that all the devices that I want to autopilot are going to fit into. So to do that, let's open another page and go to portal.azure.com. And in there, we can go to Enter ID, which is there. And if it's not there, you can just search for it in the box at the top. So let's open that. And then we're just going to go underneath Manage into Groups. And all our groups are here. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new group, and it's going to be a security group. Now, we can call this group anything we want. So why don't we call this Windows 11 Autopilot? You can enter a description if you like. We can leave that to no. The membership type, well, this is going to be a dynamic device group, okay? So what you can do, you can just create a static group if you like and manually add devices into that. But what I want to do is automate as much as I can. So every Windows 11 device, I want to automatically go into this group and therefore be eligible for Autopilot. The owner of this group is going to be me, so I'll choose myself there, click on Select. And now we need to add the dynamic queries, so we'll click on there. So how do we make it so every Windows 11 device automatically goes into this group? Well, let me just bring up this Word document here. Now you can see we've got a few properties and we've got a few operators and some examples here. So what I'm going to do, we've got a value here, which means all Windows 11 computers. So the first thing I'm going to do from the list is choose Device OS Type, and I want it to be Windows. So if we just go back to this screen here, and in the property, we want Device OS Type. Operator, we're going to choose equals, and then in value, we're going to type Windows. We're going to add another expression here, and we'll go back to the Word document. So it wants to be Windows 11. So this time we want to target OS versions. OS version starts with this. So I'll just copy this here. We'll go back to my tab here. So it's the OS version, which is here, into operator. And this time we'll go with starts with, and we'll add the code for Windows 11, okay? If we were choosing Windows 10, obviously we would add this code here. Now, I've put these extra things in here so you can be really granular. You could say, well, this group, I want to just have Surface Pros in there. Or this group, I want to be just company-owned devices. So you can be really granular with how you create your dynamic groups. Okay, before I save this group, I'm going to validate. And what this does is it just looks at all your devices and it tells you which devices would go into this group based on the expressions that you've chosen. So if I go to add devices, so if I just select all these and click on select, and I can validate them, and you can see that now I've got green ticks because all these devices I know run Windows 11, okay? So what I'll do now is just save this group and I'll click on create. And so any other Windows 11 devices that I add will automatically go into that dynamic group. Okay, the next thing I want to show you, if I just go back to home here, go back to Enter ID, I just want to show you or tell you a little bit something about company branding. So this could be a video on its own. It's a nice thing to brand your experience for users, and you've got a lot of different options. So I'll just click on edit here. We've got background images, we've got page background colors, we've got different layouts you can choose. There's a lot of things you can do so when that user switches their laptop on, they know it's your business and there's a little bit of personalization. I'm not going to change too much in here. The only thing I'll probably do here is on the sign-in form right at the back. So sign-in page text, I'll put welcome to Bearded 365 guy, just so I can show you at the end where that appears. But you've got a lot of things you can do. So I'll click next and I will save that. So now we've got our group, our dynamic group, and we've also done a little bit with branding. What next? Okay, we've done the preparation. Now it's time to load the hardware hashes into Intune. What's a hardware hash? Well, every laptop or computer in the world has a unique hardware identifier that is unique to that device. This is known as a hardware hash. Now, if you're buying your devices directly from a manufacturer like Dell, you can set up a relationship with them so they provide all the hardware hashes of the devices you're about to buy, and then you can load them into Intune already. So now let's go through how you add the hardware hashes into Intune. There's a couple of ways that I like to do it. Let's go. So there's a couple of different ways that you can get hold of the hardware hash. Now there's a document here from Microsoft that you can read through. I will just show you how it's done. First, there's a PowerShell script that you can run, and it's here, so I can just click on copy. If I then go and launch PowerShell, and I'll launch that as administrator, I can then simply copy that PowerShell script in there. Now what this script is going to do is just going to basically dump a CSV file in a folder on my C drive. Okay, so it's done that in this folder here. So if I now browse to C, there it is. And if I open that, you can see that this is the hardware hash of this computer I'm on. Okay, I told you there was a couple of ways. So let me show you the second way. If we go to Start and Settings, we go down to Accounts, we go to Access Work or School, and then where it says here, export your management log files, you can click on export, and it's going to export them to this directory here. So I'll click on that, and that will export it. So if I now go to C Users Public Documents, so go on to here. So we go to this PC, C Users Public Documents, MDM Diagnostics. You can see that this report is here. And if I click on there, you can see here, there's a device hash. Okay, so that's the file as well. So you can use whatever option you want. I prefer using the PowerShell script. Now in this video, I'm going to be showing you everything on a Windows 11 virtual PC that I've got running in an application called VirtualBox. So what I've done earlier is I have got the hardware hash of this file. So if I go on here, go to C drive, go to this PC, go onto here, you can see that I've already got this hardware hash. And what I've done, it's now in my OneDrive. So it's here, okay? So I need to now get this into Intune. So how do I do that? Well, again, if I go to my Microsoft 365 Admin Center, go down to Admin Centers, and now we need to get ourselves into Endpoint Manager. Okay, once that's launched, we can go to Devices, and we can go down to Device Onboarding and Enrollment. And there's a section here at the bottom, Windows Autopilot. Okay, so the first thing is we need to manage Windows Autopilot devices. So we'll click on there. There's nothing in here at the moment. So what I want to do is import, okay? And I want to go to the folder in my OneDrive, which is here. Go on there and click on Open. It's told me that one row has formatted correctly, which is good. Let's now import it. Now that might take a few minutes, so I might have to just pause this video. It says it can take up to 15 minutes. Okay, I left that about 5 minutes. I've come back, I've clicked on refresh, and you can see that my device is here. Now this might look a bit strange. The serial number is obviously a little bit off. We've got a manufacturer you might not have heard of and VirtualBox. That's simply because, as I've mentioned before, we're just using a virtual Windows 11 computer inside VirtualBox here. If you're dealing with Dell, for example, you will probably have proper serial numbers and you'll be able to recognize the manufacturer and the model. But as far as our lab is concerned, we've now got our device showing in devices. So what do we move on to next? Okay, the next bit is to create a deployment profile for Autopilot. On a basic level, this will dictate how the devices are configured. Let's do that now. So if we look at our device, which is in Autopilot devices, you can see that it says profile status not assigned. So we need to go back here to devices enrollment, and under Windows Autopilot, we click on deployment profiles, because what we want to do now is create a deployment profile. So go to create profile at the top. We're going to choose Windows PC, and we can call this whatever you want. So you might have multiple deployment profiles. I will call this sales department profile. I will leave this to no, and then I want to click on next. And then we've got lots of settings, and these are called out-of-the-box experience settings. So we've got deployment mode, we've got user-driven or self-deploying. Now, you've got a description on both here. I prefer to leave this as user-driven. That basically means that the user will have to enter their credentials. Then we've got the join to Microsoft Entra ID, and we've got a couple of options here. I want all my customers to be Microsoft Entra joined. You might live in a hybrid world, and that's okay. But for the purpose of this video, we're going to keep this as Microsoft Entra joined. Now we've got the Microsoft software licensing terms and the privacy settings. I just leave these as hide. I also hide the change account options. And then this is an important one, user account type. I don't want any of the users that I look after to have administrator permissions. So I will leave this as standard. That means that their user account will have standard permissions on that device. They can't install software and things like that. Allow pre-provisioned deployment. Again, I'm going to set this as no. And then you can look at the region. You can change the region for whatever you want. So if I just scroll down to what I want it to be, or up, it's actually English United Kingdom. We can leave this as yes. And then the device template name. So this will just govern what the actual device is called. So I'm going to click on yes. Now you've got a little bit of guidance here into how this works. We've got an example. So that says my company hyphen, and then it's got this here. And if we look here, it says alternatively, you can use the this macro to add a random string of numbers where X equals the numbers to add. So what I could do here, if I just highlight this, I could call this autopilot and then copy that in. I'll just put a space in there, so I go backspace. And instead of X, so my device is going to be called autopilot hyphen, and then there's going to be 3 numbers added. So all my devices have the same naming convention. Okay, click on next. And here is where we add the groups that we created earlier. So the included groups in this, you can see that my group is there. Okay, so click on select. You can exclude groups. You can do whatever you want. So you might have multiple groups, but you might exclude some groups from this profile. Whatever you need to do. Click on next and create. Simple as that. So if I just click on there and refresh that, you can see now we've got a sales department profile. If I just go back to devices enrollment and click on devices, this is saying not assigned. I will refresh. It's still not assigned. So just let me pause the video for a bit and I'll come right back. Okay, so I've left that about 5 minutes. I've refreshed and you can see that my profile is now assigned. So this PC is assigned to that deployment profile. Okay, up to now, our devices are going to be joined to Entra ID. And that's good. That's going to save a bit of time. But I want to do much more than that. So the next section is we're going to look at how to install applications. We'll look at how to install Microsoft Office automatically, and then applications like, for example, Google Chrome. Let's do that now. So how do we make sure that Microsoft Office is also installed on these devices? So we go over to Apps, we go to All Apps, and we click on Add. App type is Microsoft 365 apps or Windows 10 and later. Okay, click on Select. And then we get these options. There's not really much to do here for me, so we'll click on Next. A few bits to do in here, so we can choose what apps we want. So we might not want Access, we might not want Publisher, so we just might want the core apps there. We've got some other apps we can install, and these are based on the licenses that you've got in your portal. Okay, so we can install those as well. We want 64-bit. These are the Office options when you first open Office, so we choose one of these, so I'll choose that one. The update channel I want is the current channel preview. If there's any other versions on there, we can remove them, but there shouldn't be. We want the latest version, or you can choose a specific one. And for the purposes of our demo, we don't need to touch any of these. So click on Next. And then we're back into this assignments page. So we've got the required ones, so that means anybody in here needs to have it. We've got the available for enrolled devices or uninstall, but I'm going to go into required because I want all these users in the Autopilot group to have it. So click on Select, click on Next, Review and Create, and we will create that. Okay, that's that. So we're going to go back to All Apps here. We can see that that's there. Then we're going to add Google Chrome. So Google Chrome, if you Google standalone enterprise version, what you will get is this page here. And you click on Download Chrome. Again, you can choose your different versions, etc. We want the MSI, not the bundle. And then you accept and download it. I've already downloaded that, so I'll just close these. So I'm going to add another app. We're going to select App Type, and we're going to scroll to the bottom where it says Line of Business App. Click on Select, and then it's going to say Select App Package File. So we're going to browse to our Downloads folder on here, choose the Enterprise version, click on Open, click on OK. And again, we've got lots of different options, name, description, publisher name, you've got to put that in, so we'll put Google. We can choose the category of this app if we want, choose productivity, click on Next. Again, assignments, so let's add that group, that Windows 11 Autopilot group, click on there, click on Next, Review and Create. So that is our Google Chrome. That's just going to be uploading there. So if we go back to All Apps, you can add as many apps as you want here. So what I've got now, I've got Microsoft Office and I've got Google Chrome. Okay, we're making fantastic progress. We're going to have our devices automatically joined to Entra ID. We've got applications like Microsoft Office and Google Chrome installed. What else can we do? Well, we can do so much more. But one of the things I'm going to show you, most of our clients use things like OneDrive and SharePoint for document storage. So what I want the user to log onto this laptop and have all those configured to download onto that device. So let's do that right away. Okay, we're back in the Microsoft 365 Admin Center. What I've done is I've gone down to Admin Centers and I've launched the SharePoint Admin Center. Now again, I keep saying this is just a test tenancy. But we've got a SharePoint site called Bearded Data. And if I just hop into that SharePoint site, you can see that we've got a document library and it's got a couple of documents in there. I want all the users who are having this Autopilot profile to have this SharePoint configured automatically when they log on. So I don't want to have to go in and do anything else. So how do I do that? Well, as you can see, I'm in this now. If I click on Sync, now I'm not going to sync it. If I click on Cancel there, and then I want to copy the library ID. And once I've done that, I can click on Close. Now, in my Word document here, I've got the start of a PowerShell command. And what I need to do, so I'll delete that out of here, and I will paste in what I've just copied, so the library ID. Now, I'm going to go into PowerShell, so I'll copy that. We'll go into PowerShell, run that as administrator, and we will copy this here. And it's going to give me another little output here. So it's just changed it a little bit there. So if I just highlight all that and copy that, and this is what I'm going to need, okay? So if I go back into Endpoint Manager now, so if I go to Devices, under Manage Devices, there's a setting called Configuration. So I'm going to go into there. I'm going to go to Policies, Create, and create a new policy. I'm going to select the platform, Windows 10 or later, and the profile type is going to be a settings catalog, okay? Click on Create. Now we can call this whatever we want. So we'll call this OneDrive SharePoint Settings, okay? Click on Next. We'll click on Add Settings here. Now what we want to do is we want to scroll down here and we want to find OneDrive, which is here. Now there's a few settings that we need to select here. Let's just scroll down. Configure team site libraries to sync automatically. So we'll select that and you can see this appears on the left-hand side. There's a few other settings that we want as well. Scroll down. I also select this, which is silently move Windows known folders to OneDrive. That's things like desktop, documents, and pictures and things like that. That will move all that data to OneDrive. It'll keep the data on the desktop, etc., but it will be in OneDrive, so it'll be all in the cloud. If that means if someone logs onto another PC, their desktop files will appear. So that's really worth having. We also want to silently sign in users to OneDrive with their Windows credentials, so they don't have to sign in. We want to use OneDrive files on demand. And all these settings now appear here. So we enable that one. We enable that one. We enable that one. And then we say desktop folders, documents, and pictures. Let's get them all into OneDrive. But this is the interesting one. It's configure team site libraries to sync automatically. So we'll enable that. Now the name of this is bearded data. And then we go back to our Word document, which is here. And we want to copy this here. So it's going to sync that. Put that in value. Click on Next. Scope tags. We'll say all users, all devices on there. And click on Create. Okay, click on Refresh. And there's that policy. Okay, all the preparation is done. Now it's time to add that device into Autopilot. Is it going to work? I think it will. Let's go and do that now. Okay, it's now time to test everything out. So I've got my Windows 11 virtual machine here. This is the one that we've added into Intune for Autopilot. So what I'm going to do is go to Settings. I'm going to go to System. And I'm going to go to Recovery. And I'm going to reset this PC. Okay, remove everything. Click on Reset. Now, obviously, we're going to have to pause this video while this runs through the reset. Okay, so the PC has reset, but this could easily be a new computer from Dell. The user has unboxed it, they've switched it on, and they've got to this screen here. It's simply asking for a sign-in, a Microsoft 365 username, and password. And it's worth noting here, look, just a little bit of company branding we did earlier. It says, welcome to Bearded 365 Guy, but you can jazz it up how you want. So let's log in as the user. There's our fictitious username. And the password, click sign in. It's going to set up the device. Now you've got to leave this a little bit of time. It's not, these changes aren't going to be immediate. So again, I will pause this video and I will come back. Okay, so I've left this about 20 minutes. Now nothing happened on the screen. Everything happened silently. But let's take a look at some of the settings. Firstly, you can see Google Chrome has installed. So we didn't install it. It's installed automatically. Also, if we go in here, we can see we've got Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook recently added. So again, these applications have installed on their own, so that's really good. Let's go into, we've got OneDrive, which is signed in, Bearded 365 Guy. I didn't sign in, it's signed in automatically, if you remember that setting. So let's just go into File Explorer. We've signed into the OneDrive there, which is great. And we've also got our SharePoint site. So that is mapped automatically. no one has done anything. Okay, let's go and have a look in the back end. So we're in Endpoint Manager. If we go to all devices, we can see here, look, so Autopilot 032. If you remember the naming convention, we wanted 3 digits after the Autopilot. So that has called that Autopilot 032. You can see it's our virtual box. And we've also got some other options that I just want to finish off showing you. So we've got an option here called Autopilot Reset. Now, imagine you've got a user in your organization with a laptop, and that user leaves your organization. So what you're going to do is you're going to give that laptop to someone else. So what do? Well, you simply do an autopilot reset. What that does, it removes personal files, apps, and settings, and it resets it back to the basic autopilot build as this PC is running now. So that is a really useful feature for you to rebuild your computers. Okay, that is the end of this tutorial. Every business should be using autopilot in some way. It's going to save time and it's going to save money. If your business isn't using autopilot today, let me know. Thanks for watching. I look forward to seeing you again soon.